So now what? You've probably asked yourself that question 100 times because for decades you've been doing what you have to. And now you're wondering, have I actually done enough to do what I want to do? Would you like some help? That's why we're here, to take you from I have to wow, I really get to. I'm Brad Johansen with Omega Wealth Private Capital, and this is Wise Money. With us again on Wise Money, Brad Johansen, Joe Wilson III, Omega Wealth Private Capital.
Another week.
How are you?
Fabulous. Yourself?
Everybody good?
Fabulous.
Family's great?
Stellar.
Business is great.
Busy.
You know, and it is busy. For a lot of you, you've been watching us for a bunch of years. We know that because you come in and go, I finally made the phone call. Don't wait any longer. Make the phone call to us, 844-657-1072. We're going to talk about creating the proper tools. Because fiduciaries and independent advisors have so many more tools. I talked to you about this before. Do you think 7 out of 10 is a right number?
I think it could be more. I think probably 9 out of 10 folks.
You don't even know what I'm talking about.
To have an advisor.
You have an advisor that people walk in and go, I already got somebody.
Exactly.
But I heard something on your program that nobody else told me.
Here's why I think that is. So many folks have been working, and hopefully so, with an advisor for the accumulation years. And that's so important. Why? Because as you're working, there are growth strategies. We do that with folks that we work with in the accumulation years, that you want to have a bucket of money that one day you're going to turn into income. But there tends to be a shift. And here's how I know that. What is the number one fear? According to the Wall Street Journal about a month ago, just released a huge article on this. What is the number one fear around those entering retirement and just having retired?
And you would think it's death. I'm afraid that I'm going to die. It's not even close.
What is it?
The number one fear is that you're going to run out of money before you die.
And the part of the reason I feel that is so true is because you, the modern retiree, has been dealing with a lot of challenges, if you will. I mean, just think about the last handful of years. We had COVID and the whole world shifted 5 years ago. We had 2022 where the static accumulation 60-40 bucket just got crushed and rocked. The S&P got rocked. The NASDAQ, the tech market got rocked. The bond market got crushed. There's been some recent volatility, but then there's been so many good years. But the fear is when I leave this job, do I have the right investment tools that's going to allow us to get through retirement? Because I think we all go back, remember the great financial crisis in 2000, 2001, 2002, when the market was down over 40%.
Yeah.
The great financial crisis from October of 2007. To the March 9th, 2009 low. Think of that timeline. The S&P 500 was down almost 57%. The 60-40, 60% stock, 40% bond, that so many target date funds and just cookie cutter easy button plans, that was down in that same time period over 32%. We had friends that maybe retired from work and had to come back as consultants. When we get closer to that retirement age, we start to realize, do we have the right tools? And I think that's what we got to focus on. And we do at our firm.
We always talk about probably the greatest fear for a lot of people, that running out of money. The thing is that they think they have a number. What's wrong with the idea when you say tools? Randy, I want to put this up just as these things start going up. WiseTaxBill.com. When we create a tool that we feel everybody needs, this is important. So when I talk about fear, and having the number and understanding what the number is. Why is your number not your number? This is a tax calculator to give you an understanding of what that is. Why'd you create this thing?
It's debt. And I know that seems, well, I don't have any debt. House is paid off, cars paid off. Well, if you have a 401k, what we call them the 400s, 401k, 403b, maybe you're a government worker, 457. And many times those plans have been an amazing accumulation tool, maybe even a regular IRA. But what you don't realize is it's not all your money. There is a tax debt owed on that money. And the last time I checked in retirement, you can only spend after tax dollars. So we created this amazing site that allows you to go to just a QR code. You can open it up, Takes just a few minutes, and you can start to get an idea of, wait a second, how much tax debt do I actually have? Here's why this is so important. We have a window right now where there's some amazing tools where we can disinherit the IRS from that pot of money. There's strategies out there. There's different tools. We're going to talk about that in a bit. But I think where it makes a big impact, that is if you're hearing from your current advisor, should I be worried about these RMDs, required minimum distributions? And maybe you're in your 60s or maybe in your late 60s. We have this question all the time at our educational events, Joe. And people go, well, my advisor said don't worry about it. I don't have to worry about that until 73. Well, you don't have to take it out till 73. The challenge is your tax debt is continuing to grow. And many times you have no idea how much money you will have to take out when that age of required minimum distribution comes. And that's the shocking number, because you start to realize I have Social Security, maybe you have some pension, and now I have to take all of this money out. Many times we're finding retirees that could be getting themselves in the same tax bracket they were in when they were working and potentially higher. Many times you're just using the wrong tools. Part of what we do is educating. We were on a radio show not too long ago when we had Snowmageddon here in the 513, and Lord, Northern Kentucky got crushed.
Man, we had a nasty winter this year, didn't we?
Thank God that's over.
Yeah.
It was awful. Woo-hoo. But we had one of our advisors in there, and he didn't own, I'm going to use some examples. He didn't own one of these.
Oh, you've got props.
You know, how can you live in Cincinnati and not own
I
one
know
of these?
exactly what you're talking about.
Julie in our office, Julie preps for everything. I mean, she's like a triathlon runner. She didn't have one of these. But what's so funny is that, what did Louis have? We had a foot of snow, for those of you that might not have been here. Maybe you were in Florida chilling. Well, we had a foot of snow. This is what Louis had. Now, two good tools, but Louis's out there raking.
I'm laughing because I have a picture in my mind of Louis doing this.
He sent us a picture. His wife took one.
I can see
He's
it.
raking his driveway because he didn't have the right
all he
tool.
had.
Well, what does that have to do with you and your retirement? So many times you've been saving and doing things, and that might be the right tool for that season. But times shift, and when you cross over to that retirement threshold, retirement and distribution planning, hearken to me right now, is very, very different than your accumulation years. And if you don't have the right tools, I asked him, how long did it take you to rake your driveway in Blue Ash? He was like, bro, I just gave up. How many of you are sitting here going, well, this retirement feels weird. I feel like I'm having to take out more money. Well, you are. Why? Because you never factored in a good inflation number. Joe, it is 24.5% more expensive to live today than it was in 2020.
COVID hit.
The average inflation rate, if you look at a real number, garbage numbers into your planning will equal to garbage numbers out. The 50-year average on inflation is 3.8%. How many times do we see folks come in with a financial plan and their plan is using two? It's not even the right tool.
If you go 4 years and you're dealing with a 24% inflation rate, and then we talk about it, this is why all the numbers change up, and you're trying to use an average number so that you can work an average retirement. Nobody wants an average retirement. When you're using this kind of thing, when you talk about it, the reason he didn't have the tool, recency bias. We hadn't had
That's exactly right.
We hadn't had a winter like that for 10 years.
And that was his comment. He said, I've never had to really rake my driveway. A couple inches, I get out, it's fine. You know, maybe you felt that way. Maybe you found yourself without a shovel. You get one shot at retirement. So my statement to you is nay, nay. It's time to get the right tools. If you don't have the understanding of the tax debt, if you don't understand the risk that could be sitting inside your portfolio, as we see these amazing 7 to 8 companies making up almost 35% of the S&P 500, there's hidden risk there. If you don't know the actual fees that you're paying inside your 401k and inside your IRAs or maybe inside your brokerage account, when do you want to know that? My goodness, it's now. It's time to get the right tools, because the last thing you want to do is start retirement and realize you don't have the right tools.
Here's the tools. We pushed Joe to put this book together. It's out. We want you to have it. We'll do it for free. This is the 5 agreements. Scan the QR code that is on. The 5 agreements to be and stay retirement ready. We say it all the time. It's easy to retire. It's a lot tougher to stay retired. So all the tools are in there. Fiduciary independent advisors. We have a lot of people even who watch the show and don't remember that's the key, because one of the first questions they have is, are you a fiduciary? What's the idea of a fiduciary? It's that we have to act in your best interest to provide the tools that are best for you to be and stay retirement ready. It's the 5 agreements that work into your individual plan that we can put together so your retirement has all the income you need. If you talk about that fear of running out of money, this is the idea that we do every single day. Put a plan together that's yours, that will last into, through, and throughout retirement, and create a legacy plan that lasts the way you want it to look. We've got a lot to talk about. The tools matter. We'll be right back. How are you invested in the market? Is that traditional 60-40 plan still the way to go? We'll have the answer from Wise Money next.
Hard to believe I've been in this industry almost 19 years. I've seen a lot of folks that have had successful retirements that have come in and come to work with us, and things are going well. They just want to improve it. I've also had folks come in and we see it the other way, where it has not gone the way that they've wanted. So there's a perspective there. We see a lot. We get the opportunity to get wisdom from that. So it led me to write a book after 18 years. And we call it The 5 Agreements to Be and Stay Retirement Ready, because you have to have all 5 agreements. You have to have an income plan. You have to manage for taxes. You have to have an investment growth bucket that is able to sustain and beat long-term inflation. They all have to work together. But you also have to have a legacy plan, because we're all going to die one day. And how do you pass those dollars on most efficiently? And what about asset preservation? You're looking at the cost of healthcare and where it's going. What's our hedge against that? It's the #1 area we see folks not even prepared, that and taxes. All 5 of those agreements must come together. It's why we say to be and stay retirement ready. The worst day in retirement isn't the day you run out of money. It's when you realize you're going to run out of money and there's nothing you can do about it. It's why in my new book, The 5 Agreements to Be and Stay Retirement Ready, we talk about asset and capital preservation. So many things can derail a modern retiree's retirement by surprises, a huge dip in the market. What about a healthcare concern? There are costs right now of $110,000 to $130,000 a year for long-term care. What strategies have you taken right now to hedge your retirement against that risk? There are so many ways to do it. Want to learn more? You need a copy of my brand new book, The 5 Agreements to Be and Stay Retirement Ready. Click the link below, fill out some information, and my team will send out a copy to you absolutely free. Looking forward to you reading it and maybe seeing you in the office so we can help you be and stay retirement ready.
So glad you're with us on Wise Money. Brad Johansen alongside Joe Wilson III, Omega Wealth Private Capital. We're talking about the tools that you need. And we left going into break talking about fiduciary and what the difference is. The independent fiduciary advisor working for you. It's kind of like, look at it, Jonah. Joe's got props. It's prop day for Joe.
It is prop day.
If we talk about Home Depot, I think that probably leads us into why you've got this stuff on your.
It's like my grandmother. She was from Russell County, Kentucky, and they talk a little different down there. She'd always say, "I want to go to Home Depot." You know. Let me ask you this: when's the last time you've been to Home Depot? And imagine you want to hang a picture in your home, and you need a screwdriver, you need a hammer, and you walk in and you go, "I need a screwdriver and a hammer." A broker will say, "Well, those are in aisles 5 and 6. Let me take you there." And they'll pull out something like this. That's a big screwdriver.
That's a large screwdriver.
And that's a big hammer.
Big hammer.
And they're going to say, "This is what you need." Because this could probably pound down a wall. This could probably hang a picture. This could be a great defensive weapon in your car. Both of these could be. Shock me, bleh. But what if you need a Phillips head? And if you're hanging a picture, do you really need something this big so if you miss the nail, you're putting a hole in your wall? The challenge is no one ever asked, what are you wanting to do with a screwdriver and a hammer? That's what a broker does. A fiduciary does what I just said. What is your purpose? What type of screwdriver do you need? Do you need one for your glasses? That's a little tiny one. Do you need a Phillips head? These might be suitable, but are they right for you? That is the beginning basis of understanding the difference between a fiduciary and a broker. Listen to me. So many of you have had great accumulation years. The challenge is when we look at you and we're seeing what you've got, and you come in and we're going, hey, this is going to work very differently in retirement. This might be suitable, but it's really not what's best for you, because you're telling us you need to make sure you have an income stream that lasts 2 and 3 retirement. You need to make sure you have a tax-efficient growth bucket. You need to make sure you have something that is watching the internal expense of fees. Is it appropriate? That's the beginning basis of what we do, because we sit down with you and we start to have the questions, what does retirement look like for you? And we start at the very fundamental basis. We build a spending plan. We don't say the B word at our office. We never say budget. We say the S word, spending plan.
Try to avoid it.
Because retirement is about you having the retirement of your dreams. And to do that, what kind of money do you need to spend to cover the necessities, the heating, the cooling, the medicine, the property taxes, the homeowner's insurance? You have to have those. But what about the lifestyle? If you want to travel and you want to go see the grands, well, we better build that in there. We start with that and reverse engineer, because then we could take this pile of money that you've been working 30, 40, 50 years for and say, this needs to go to income. This needs to grow to growth. This needs to start being taxed differently. So we're going to do some strategies with that. And what are we doing? We're starting to use the right tools. It's really hard to clean a driveway or dig a hole with a rake. And so many times you're saying, just something just doesn't feel right in my plan. You just got the wrong tool in your hand.
All right, you give me an idea of many of the people. A lot of you will come in, and I'm grateful that I get a chance to sit with you most of the time in our first meetings. And you remember me, a lot of you, as a storyteller. And these are the most important stories that we're able to tell. So I will sit with you in our family room. And we probably haven't mentioned enough that we have expanded, and we have our office in Crestview Hills, Kentucky, which is now more convenient for everybody. It's another tool for you to be able to say, you know what, this is a little bit easier. This works for me.
Yeah, Columbia Sussex building, run off 275.
Man, it's beautiful,
it's
beautiful offices. And the ones that we consistently have now in our family room, when I sit down, I'll ask you about your story, because we want to know who you are, what you need, how you want your retirement to look. You talked about having the right tools, and a lot of these advisors have already put people into programs that they say, this will work, we'll set this and forget it. You're in a target date fund. We got a target date for your retirement.
What about 2 or 3 of them? We saw someone recently. I mean, a target date fund is, we call it the TV dinner. You know, I loved watching the Reds growing up. We didn't have cable. Dad wasn't going to pay for it. And we had these really strong TV. Now, friends, if you're my age, you all probably have TV trays. And we had those sturdy ones that they got from like Amish country. I mean, they were solid. When you touched them, you know, your water glass didn't wobble. I'd go over to some friend's house. They'd have those little metal ones, and you'd boom it, and, you know, you're grabbing water. There were many nights when we sat and had Salisbury steak TV dinners watching the Reds. Boy, those are good.
Salty.
Yeah,
but,
you like that
tasty.
little apple crisp in there?
No, I didn't like the apple crisp.
The diabetic in me loved that stuff.
I like the Salisbury.
I did too, but there's enough sodium to, like, you know, knock over a rhino.
Then I'd eat another one.
You can't eat it every day.
Yeah.
The challenge is this. So many times you might be in a target date fund and it's the easy button. It's a TV dinner, but it's loaded with so many things. Your body, your retirement cannot sustain that. Here's why. When we go back to history and look at how those have worked in the distribution phase, the only way those work out is if you retire and there are several good years right after you walk out of the office. You have to control what you can control, and you cannot control what happens in the markets. We saw way too many folks come in off this television show in 2022 who were getting crushed, and they didn't understand, but I'm in this target date 2030
They told me this was going to work.
It's a tool, but you're using a Phillips head or a flathead, and you need a Phillips head. You got the wrong tool in your hand. How you're managing money in distribution phase has to be structured differently, because it's 3D chess when it comes to Social Security optimization, tax planning, lifetime income. What about medical expenses, and how are we going to hedge that? They all must come together so you can have the retirement of your dreams. Too many folks are just relying upon a sunny day and trying to get this to work, And sometimes it just doesn't make it happen.
I'll bring up 5 agreements again, Randy, if we can, because the book is out there and we want you to have it in your hands. This is the 5 agreements to be and stay retirement ready. Joe's put this together. I want you to take us to break. Give them an offer as they come into the office for this.
Started in this industry in 2006, and it was a great time, and it was an awful time because 2007, 2008, 2009 were brutal years. It's the great financial crisis. You all remember it, but you don't probably remember being impacted by it. Boy, I do. I remember seeing advisors sitting and crying because they just didn't know what to do. Nothing was working. It was a horrible time. And as I was training and watching these advisors, sitting with folks, some of them had successful retirements and others were just getting crushed because they weren't prepared for what was happening in the world at that time. These lessons in this book, there's 5 agreements, and it was birthed from that experience. In my experience since then, because we're blessed to have been in this a while, and we've seen a lot of folks come and help folks enter and have successful retirements. You get one shot at retirement. So why the 5 agreements, all 5 must be in place so you can have the retirement of your dreams. Because if you're missing one, it could greatly affect you. Want a copy? I want to send you one. Click on that scan that QR code or call the number 844-657-1072. Want us to come in and say, man, I just want to meet with B. Joe and the team at Omega Wealth Private Capital? We'll sit down with you. We'll give you a copy of this. It's a very short read because you need to be armed with the understanding of the right tools that you need to be and stay retirement ready. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and wrap this up with a little bit more conversation, making sure you have the right tools in your tool shed.
When we come back, getting you financially healthy means getting you emotionally healthy. Why a living financial plan is just what the doctor ordered. Next.
I think sometimes you have to go back to go ahead. I remember vividly being 11 or 12, and my dad had an amazing job with a shoe company. It was a huge boot company. Had all the swag, the backpacks, the bags, the boots. Things were going great until it didn't. Dad suddenly found himself without a job. I remember the impact to my family and how just life shifted. I could tell things were not the way they used to be. And so for a while, it was different, and income was different for my family. I look back at that and realize as a financial advisor, having started in this industry right before the great financial crisis, how important income planning and having an income engine is to folks being able to maintain the lifestyle that they want. I mean, think about this. Folks have worked 30, 40 years at the same job. Why? So they could amass wealth to one day live off that. They're going to fire themselves. It all revolves around income. And if it's not there, the impact that has to retirement, no one wants to live through that.
Have you taken your family out to dinner lately? Been shocked at how expensive the bill was? I know, right? Guess what? The bills keep coming in retirement. A recent study says that there's almost $40 trillion in the U.S. in tax-deferred retirement accounts. 401ks, IRAs. I bet you've got one of those, don't you? I'm Brad Johansen at Omega Wealth Private Capital. I want you to think about something right now. All that money that you've saved in those tax-deferred accounts, it's not all your money. You have to pay taxes on that when you withdraw it in retirement. At Omega Wealth Private Capital, we have created something for you. So click the link below, wisetaxbill.com. wisetaxbill.com will show you the potential future taxes in those retirement accounts. Free to use, and it arms you with the knowledge about your future taxes, and then you reach out to us so we can help build a strategy that lowers your tax bill. Click the link, wisetaxbill.com. So glad you're with us on Wise Money. Brad Johansen, Joe Wilson III, and all our props today as we try to figure out the tools. Joe's in prop mode today. We're talking about the tools that you have to be and stay retirement ready. It is in the 5 agreements. Go ahead and throw this up, Randy. We'll leave this out. We don't have a whole lot of time. This is the book. Scan the QR code. We'll give it to you for free. We'd like to hand it to you to come into the office to put together a complimentary retirement readiness review. Why are you prop happy today?
I'm going to make this plain. If you're sitting in a target date fund or a 60-40, as many of you are, how do we know that? We have the perspective. We get to see so many folks. Last week, we had almost 20 people come in. The week before that, 18 meetings coming in. We see what the greater Cincinnati area has saved in their accounts. And so many times, you might have a shovel, and it's appropriate. You need this snow shovel. Because there's seasons when you got to shovel the driveway. The challenge is I don't want to rake my yard in the fall in Westchester with this. I want to have a different tool. And if all your money is sitting in a target date fund or just an easy button fund, or I've been in these mutual funds for 47 years, that's wonderful. They've been accumulators. But every dollar counts. What are the internal fees and expenses? How does it work towards you getting income? Maybe those are good for your growth bucket, but where are you going to get your income? And if you don't have something hedged against market losses, it's like trying to change the little glasses with one of these alarms. It's not appropriate. Yes, it's a good tool, but it's used at the wrong time. I'm passionate about it because we're seeing people a lot of times just messing up with retirement planning. They just are using the wrong tools.
Well, they've been told that the tools that they have right now are good. We've met with people who've really in good shape for retirement, and yet they didn't know what they had in their portfolio. Why? Their advisor didn't tell them. They hadn't met with them for a long time. It had been good. Things are rising. We're all set. We've accumulated. Now we're in the distribution phase. Maybe we need some other tools to make sure that we're going to be safe.
It's a different world. Why? Because volatility happens. The worst thing you could do is retire in like in 1999 when everything's perfect and good and everybody's happy in the .com era. And then 2000, 2001, 2002, a 40+% decline. And you're now taking money out. Nay. You cannot go into distribution years with the same tools and hope. That's not a plan. We'll help you with a plan. 844-657-1072. And then answer the phone and say, I want a retirement readiness review. You know the cost of that? It's free. Take that QR code. Get a copy of the book, The 5 Agreements to Be and Stay Retirement Ready. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next week.
From tax time bombs to Social Security insecurities, strategic investments that help clean up your junk drawer and keep your income engine running smoothly at Omega Wealth Private Capital. We're fiduciary, independent, holistic wealth advisors, and we're here to turn your have-tos into get-tos. So, would you like your retirement dreams to move from good to great? Give us a call. It's what we do because we really want to. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope to see you in the office. Until then, I'm Brad Johansen. We'll see you next time on Wise Money.